It started with a lie so casual, so ordinary, that it almost slipped past me. "I'm just heading to dinner with my cousins," she'd said, brushing her hair back, tossing me that soft half-smile I used to think meant she was happy. Not overly sweet, not suspicious, just simple, honest. But that night, I was already at the table with her cousins. I was halfway through a bite of peppered steak when her cousin Ellie asked, "Hey, where's Alina tonight?" I looked up mid-chew, my fork suspended in the air like it weighed 100 pounds. "Thought she was with you guys," I said slow. "Testing." 3 confused faces stared back. Ellie, Theo, and James. Her favorite trio. Her alibi. A silence fell over the table, long and stretching, the kind that presses into your chest like rising water. "She said she was with us?" Theo asked, brow crumpling. And that was it. That was the moment. My chest went cold. The wine in my hand suddenly tasted metallic. I didn't argue. I didn't panic. I just took out my phone, placed it face down on the table, tapped it twice, and activated the voice recorder. I didn't even know why I hit record. Maybe instinct. Maybe I needed proof that this wasn't all in my head, that I wasn't twisting things again like I had the past few months. Because for a while now, things had felt off. Late meetings. Locked screens. The way she flinched when I walked into the room too quietly. But I had been making excuses for her. That's what love does when it's desperate not to lose. It explains away the pain. I let them talk. Just casual chatter at first. About how they hadn't seen her since that barbecue last month. How she'd been super distant in the family group chat. How she didn't return Ellie's last few calls. "She's probably just stressed from work," I murmured, though even as I said it, I couldn't meet their eyes. Theo leaned in, voice low. "You okay, man? You look pale." I wanted to lie. I wanted to say I was tired or hungry or dealing with a cold. But instead, I said, "Can I ask you something? And I need you to be honest." They all nodded. "Has Alina ever said anything about me? Like about us? Problems, stuff she's not happy with?" There was hesitation. That moment where people weigh the truth against kindness. Ellie broke first. "She mentioned you two were distant lately." Theo followed. "She said you've been working a lot, that you get home late, that she feels kind of alone." "She never told me that," I said, my voice so soft I barely recognized it. The steak on my plate sat untouched now, congealing under the restaurant lights. James shifted in his seat. "She also said you've been distracted, that she doesn't feel like a priority anymore." I didn't get defensive, because it was true. I had been distracted. My firm was merging. I'd been pulling 12-hour days. And yeah, I stopped doing the little things. Notes on the fridge. Surprise coffees. Holding her a little longer in the morning. But I never stopped loving her. "I need to step outside," I said, slipping the phone into my pocket, recorder still running. My heart was thudding hard, but my hands were steady. I walked out onto the sidewalk, cool air rushing my face like a slap. I stood there staring at the night sky, listening to the city hum, wondering if I was about to ruin everything, or finally see things clearly. The next part wasn't planned. I called her, just to see if she'd pick up. She did, on the third ring. Her voice was warm, familiar, like nothing was wrong. "Hey babe," she said. "Just stepped outside the restaurant for a minute. It's loud in there." I could hear music in the background. Laughter. A man's voice, low and muffled. Definitely not her cousin's. "Oh yeah?" I asked. "Which place did you go to?" There was a pause. Just a beat too long. This new tapas spot. You wouldn't know it. Kinda hidden." "Cool. Maybe we can try it sometime." Another pause. "Yeah, sure. I'll let you get back to them," I said, and hung up. I stood there, hands shaking slightly, my breath coming in shallow pulls. I didn't feel anger. Not yet. Just a deep, hollow kind of recognition, like the moment you realize you've been holding your breath for months. When I walked back to the table, they were all quiet. "Waiting." "She lied," I said. "She's not with you. She's with someone else." No one said anything. No one had to. Their faces said it all. I played them the call. Just that last part. Just to confirm what we already knew. Ellie covered her mouth. James closed his eyes. Theo cursed under his breath. Ellie reached out and touched my arm. "I'm sorry." I nodded, forcing a smile. "It's not your fault." I didn't need another bite. I boxed the food up, left a generous tip, and walked home. And when I got there, hours before she would, I sat on the edge of the bed and listened to the recording again. Not the call. The dinner. The voices of her cousins, completely unaware, unraveling her alibi thread by thread. It was strange, listening to people tell you things you already feared, but in their voices, it became real. Solid. Undeniable. I didn't cry. I didn't scream. I just sat there, recording still playing in the background, and realized something I hadn't let myself admit until that night. Love doesn't die in one big explosion. It erodes. Little lies, unanswered calls, silences that stretch too long. I just hadn't seen how far we'd sunk. But I was about to. Because what happened next was something I never saw coming. She walked in just after midnight, humming. That's what hit me first. The hum. Light, tuneless, innocent, like she'd just been out with friends. Like she wasn't carrying a time bomb in her phone, in her purse, in her lies. I was on the couch, TV on but muted, the living room lit only by the soft glow of a floor lamp. She jumped a little when she saw me. "Oh, hey, you're still up?" She sounded casual, a little surprised. Not guilty. Not yet. "Yeah," I said. "Had a late dinner." "With who?" I let that hang for a second. "Your cousins." There it was. The flinch. It was small, just a twitch of the lips, the way her eyes flicked to the floor and back. But I saw it. That half-second recalibration. "Oh," she said slowly. "I must have misunderstood. I thought they were doing something else tonight." They weren't. She opened her mouth like she was going to add something, then closed it again. The pause between us was thick. The kind of silence that hums with questions neither of you want to ask out loud. "You hungry?" she offered. "I brought leftovers." I shook my head. "Where'd you go?" "Told you. That tapas place." "No, you didn't." My voice was calm, detached. "You just said I wouldn't know it." That was the moment her face shifted. Subtle. But I'd lived with this woman for almost a decade. I knew every version of her smile, every type of silence. And this one, the one she wore now, was the kind you wear when you're working out which life fits the moment best. I stood, walked over to the kitchen, poured a glass of water to keep my hands busy. My heart wasn't racing. That surprised me. I think part of me had already grieved this. Quietly. In pieces. "Alina," I said finally, "just tell me the truth." Her eyes narrowed slightly. Defensive now. "What truth?" "Where were you tonight?" "I told you." "No," I cut in gently. "Where were you really?" A long breath. She crossed her arms. "Why are you interrogating me? What's going on with you lately? First the distance, now this? It's like you're looking for a reason to start a fight." I took a deep breath. She was flipping it, turning the script like she always did when cornered. I set the water down, leaned on the counter. "I wasn't looking for anything," I said. "I just happened to be in the wrong restaurant at the wrong time with the wrong people." She didn't respond. "I have the whole dinner recorded," I added. "Every word your cousins said. Every moment you weren't there." Her face drained. Gone was the casual smile. Gone was the flirty innocence. Just stillness now. The sound of gears grinding behind her eyes. "Are you spying on me now?" she whispered. Not angry, wounded. Like I was the one who crossed a line. "Don't do that," I said. "Don't twist this." She turned away, walked into the kitchen, started unpacking her takeout. Slowly, methodically, like pretending nothing was wrong could still fix it. "We were just getting drinks," she said finally. "Some old friends from college were in town. I didn't think it was a big deal." "You told me you were with your cousins." She shrugged. "It was last minute. I didn't want to explain everything. I didn't think you'd care." I stared at her, studying her hands as they folded the takeout bag. The thing is, I might have believed her if I hadn't seen the second notification. Earlier that night, when I checked her phone while she was in the shower. Yes, I know. There was a message from someone named Jordan. Not a cousin. Not a friend. Just, "Same time next week. Can't stop thinking about tonight." That was 5 minutes after our call ended. And that was what did it. That tiny text. The timestamp. The familiarity. Jordan wasn't a fling. He was recurring. "You didn't think I'd care?" I repeated. "About being lied to?" She didn't answer. I walked into the bedroom, pulled the drawer open, and came back holding the small black journal I knew she never expected me to find. Tucked under old receipts and birthday cards. I tossed it gently on the counter between us. Her eyes darted to it like it was a bomb. "You wrote about him," I said softly. "Every page. I read it 2 weeks ago." Silence. Her hands trembled. The container of empanadas tipped slightly in her grasp. I wasn't yelling. I wasn't accusing. I just stood there, holding out the truth between us like something fragile. Breakable. "I would have forgiven one night," I said. "Even two. But not this. Not the lies. Not the months of pretending while you looked me in the eye and told me you loved me. Her voice broke. I didn't mean to hurt you. I nodded once. But you did. I was lonely. So was I. She dropped the food, stepped back. The journal still lay on the counter between us. Open now, a page splayed wide. I didn't look at the words again. I didn't need to. I knew them by heart. He makes me feel seen, heard. Not like I'm just background noise in my own home. I used to be the man who made her feel all those things. I used to be the fire in her chest. Now I was just furniture. She cried. For real, maybe. I'm not sure. But I didn't reach for her. Because in that moment, I realized I wasn't grieving her anymore. I was grieving the version of me who used to believe her without question. The version of me who thought love was enough. And that man, he was gone. I didn't leave that night. Not because I couldn't, but because I needed her to see it. The slow, silent dismantling of the life she'd been lying in. I slept on the couch. Not out of spite. I just didn't want her scent near me. That lavender shampoo she used to steal from my side of the shower. I couldn't smell it without feeling nauseous. She tried to talk the next morning. I didn't. Not because I hated her, but because I couldn't trust the sound of her voice anymore. She hovered near the kitchen island, holding her coffee like it was the only thing anchoring her to this world. I didn't mean for it to go this far, she said. I just nodded. Because it had. And nothing she said now could walk it back. I went to work. I answered emails. I had lunch with a client. I smiled when appropriate, nodded when required. But every time my phone buzzed, I felt a weight pressing into my spine. Her texts came in waves. Can we talk? Please. You don't even know the whole story. But I did. Because that night, after dinner with her cousins, after she went to bed, crying, curled away from me like I was some intruder in her own home, I'd done something I hadn't wanted to do. I looked through the journal again. Not for punishment, but for answers. The entries went back 8 months. 8 months of slow, intentional unraveling. Of second-guessing me. Of listing everything I wasn't, everything he was. She wrote in metaphors. Like this was her secret little novel. Jordan is like rain after drought. When he touches me, I forget the cold of my marriage. He says I still have a voice. That one hurt the most. Because I thought I'd always listened. I used to pause movies just to hear her thoughts. I used to cancel plans just to hold her when her anxiety flared. I thought that counted. But maybe I stopped seeing her when life got loud. Still, that didn't excuse the silence she gave me in return. She didn't just cheat on me. She narrated it. Romanticized it. Made it feel like I was the villain in a story she wrote without asking if I even wanted to be a character. I waited 3 days before saying anything. Not to punish her. I was just figuring out how to leave with my dignity intact. Because I realized something. She thought she held the cards. That I'd beg. That I'd chase. That my silence meant weakness. But silence. Silence is where men like me sharpen the blade. That Friday night, I came home with a bag from the lawyer's office. Sat across from her on the couch. No preamble. I want a separation, I said. And I wanted to start now. She blinked. Wait, what? I've already filed. These are the papers. Her face went white. You're not even going to try? You already did the trying, I said. You tried someone else. Repeatedly. She reached out. I flinched. That was new. I'd never flinched from her. But something in me was just done. I made a mistake, she whispered. You wrote about it like it was poetry. Tears welled again. But I didn't get pulled in this time. You said I made you feel like background noise? I said quietly. You made me feel disposable. She shook her head. That's not true. Then why was he worth the risk? She couldn't answer that. And that was enough. I told her she could keep the apartment for now. I'd move into a furnished rental. Just until we figured out logistics. No yelling. No drama. Just clean, quiet detachment. She watched me pack my bag. She didn't say much. Just stood in the doorway like a ghost of the woman I used to know. Before I left, I said one last thing. You should know. Jordan's wife got the journal too. Her breath caught. You sent it. No. You left it unlocked in the cloud. Truth was, I hadn't planned to tell her. But I wanted her to understand the weight of what she'd written, that it wasn't just ink on paper or pixels on a screen. It was shrapnel. It had names attached to it. Collateral. I didn't want to blow this up, I added. I wanted to walk away quietly. But I figured his wife deserved the same chance I had, to decide what truth she could live with. Her knees buckled a little, and she sat on the edge of the bed, whispering, Oh my God, I didn't say anything else. I left the key on the counter. One last look around. The throw blanket we used to share. The photo from our road trip to Big Sur. The candle she never let burn past halfway. All of it, hers now. I walked out into the October chill, bag over my shoulder, phone buzzing in my pocket. I didn't check it. Probably her. Maybe him. Didn't matter anymore. Because in the end, it wasn't about catching her. It wasn't even about revenge. It was about waking up and realizing I was never really the one who disappeared from our marriage. She was. Long before that dinner. Long before the lie. Long before I ever turned my phone around and hit record.